Total Retail recently released its fourth annual Retail Technology Report, addressing retailers' spending behavior as well as tracking trends in retail technology investments. To download your copy of the 2020 Retail Technology Report, go to mytotalretail.com/resources.
Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hi, and welcome to Total Retail Talks. I'm Joe Keenan of Total Retail, and I'm joined today by Chelsea Riggs, who is the brand president of Amika. We're going to talk to Chelsea a little bit today about Amika's business and kind of how it's working with salon owners and stylists during the COVID-19 pandemic, and kind of just a little bit about the influence that that global health crisis has had on the Amika business. So thanks for joining me, Chelsea.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
So why don't we start by having you briefly tell our audience a little bit about Amika?
Sure. So Amika is a brand of hair care and styling tools. We were founded in 2007, so over a decade ago in Brooklyn, New York. And the name Amika actually means friend, and it's a symbol of our belief in the power of community and also the beauty of diversity. And we really are a friend to hairstylists, her, him, you, and them. So we really welcome all hair types at Amika, and you can find all of our products carried in salons. We're in about over 40,000 stylists and salons in North America, as well as at Sephora stores. Well, not right now because they're closed, Sephora.com and our own website.
Yeah, so the direct-to-consumer obviously is probably still operational, but those wholesale partnerships through the salons and your relationship with Sephora, that's obviously been impacted, I would guess, right now with the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yes, definitely. Certainly a scary time for a lot of industries and businesses, especially, those who rely on foot traffic and daily income, such as restaurants, bars, entertainment, and also that affects stylists and salons as well, especially because they're in like very close proximity to other people. Obviously, you're touching hair. So trying to keep 6 feet of distance is nearly impossible in that kind of profession. So yeah, we've seen a huge impact to our business because of that.
Have you seen, since your customers aren't able to get the product in the salons or in Sephora, have you seen an uptick in the direct-to-consumer business, or is this kind of product not really considered an essential product for customers and they can not make that purchases? What have you seen with the D2C business since this was really escalated?
Yeah, well, our D2C business is actually pretty strong prior to this, and we've seen about 100% growth in our daily sales, more or less since this started. So more like the last 15 days or so. It definitely doesn't make up what we do in a salon environment because they're not using products on their clients, so that sort of usage is down. But in terms of essentials, I think hair care and skin care, at least within the beauty sector, are considered more essentials. I mean, you have to shower. You don't have to put your makeup on, but you should probably shower at least a few times a week, right? So we have seen a big uptick in our like shampoos and conditioners because of that. And not really a decline, but pretty flat right now in terms of styling tools, as most people aren't really spending the time on doing their hair to go out or go to work.
Right. Yeah. With less people going out, it makes sense that you might see not a decline, but a leveling off in that particular category. Let's talk a little bit. Since this pandemic has caused every retail business to reevaluate some things and see where they can best optimize certain situations. Obviously, brick and mortar has been impacted. Tell us a little about any changes that you've made to the business as a result of COVID-19, whether it be, ramping up, resources and investments into the D2C business. Tell us, some things that you've kind of done since this really hit us about, early to mid March.
Sure. So I'd say it's been a pretty crazy adjustment for us. Amika has, historically been a really what I consider high growth brand. So, triple digit growth almost every year for the last 5 years. So it's like we went from going 90 on the highway to 25 miles an hour in many ways. Of course, we're like all working from home. We just finished our third week working from home because, as this started to settle in, we're in New York City where we've started to see the impacts a little bit quicker maybe than other places. So our employee health is absolutely one of our top priorities. So, um, we're grateful for a thriving e-commerce business. We've just been doubling down and focusing all of our attention on optimizing, refreshing, creating even more content, despite the fact that a lot of shoots have been postponed, likely indefinitely. Um, I'd say the silver lining is that once we emerge from this pandemic crisis, the company and also the brand will definitely have improved for the better. But certainly in the immediate, it's hard because it has the biggest impact on cash flow, like with most businesses. And a large majority of our staff had been newly created roles that we had hired over the last 12 months to really support the field growth. So we were getting more stores with Sephora. We were launching in a lot of new salons. So, and though all of those are closed at the moment. And yeah, I mean, we're an independent brand. We don't have VC or private equity financing to fall back on to keep things running. So I think it goes without saying that it's really put us in some tough decision moments. Yeah, and at the end of the day, the company's culture is just really what's holding us together.
Yeah, I think you put it well when you were in that high growth mode and you're moving at, 90 miles an hour. Now you're kind of been forced into this situation where you have to proceed at a much slower pace and without, some of your distribution channels, and it's forcing the business to make some really tough decisions. One thing I did want to talk a little bit about, and I think this is, commendable for Amika, that you've started this program, and is this affiliate program that you've launched to help out kind of the salon owners and the stylists that you often partner with. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that and how it's worked so far?
Yeah, so we actually launched this salon affiliate program a little over a year ago, and the purpose was to solve for these inevitable purchases that are happening between salon appointments. I mean, the customer doesn't want to be told that he or she can't buy online or buy from their favorite retailer and that they have to, drive 10 to 30 minutes out of their way to go buy their shampoo and conditioner. So um, we created the salon affiliate to share back a percentage of revenue with all of our stylists so that they would get credit for those customer transactions that are happening outside of their salon space because they introduced them to the brand and got them to be in love with whatever Amika product. Honestly, it didn't get a ton of traction, and we really saw an opportunity to support salons and stylists who have little to no revenue right now. So we started just talking about it again on our social. A lot of our distributors have gotten behind it as well, and we just look at it as a way that I know at the end of the day, we want these salons and stylists to survive, and it's the least that we can do to give them 40% of the revenue for customers that they are driving to the site to purchase because the salon is closed and they just can't get it from their stylist right now. And it's had an insane growth, like 500% growth, um, just in the last week alone. So it's a really exciting program, and I'm glad that it's a way that we can give back to the stylist and salon community. And as a brand, who, like I said, is independently owned, we're still looking into other ways that we can support this industry as well.
So you mentioned they're giving back to the salon and stylist community and why that's so important to Amika. Let's talk a little bit about why during this time, but also, it's just become, more of a business imperative for all brands to kind of be more socially responsible and think about, more than just the bottom line and how they can, benefit the communities in which they operate. Can you tell us, what the mindset is at Amika and, how you see that affecting the business, not just now, but going forward?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, brands are more than companies. We're all made up of people and we're all affected, and we should all come together to do what we can to support one another. It, it is difficult because everyone's in a crisis and they're looking at maybe their they don't have any profit coming in at all, and they need to make some really hard decisions. But at the end of the day, it's about putting people first and doing what you can, even if that's not a monetarily contribution. I've seen some amazing things from some incredible brands who are, even just giving product away. Okay, you own this product already. It's not a cash expense you need to spend today, and giving it to people who are fighting on the front lines, whether they're healthcare workers or grocery workers, people who are really holding us together through all of this. And I think those are all amazing initiatives. And I think that it'll really turn people's thinking after this is over to, working with companies and brands that do put people and the planet before profit. I mean, there has to be profit or we're all nonprofit businesses, but I do think that it will hopefully change some perceptions there.
So you mentioned, excuse me, that your staff is, working from home now. There's obviously been a disruption in the business. How about the communication strategy in terms of, what you're sending, communicating, and how you're communicating to your customers during this time, but also internally, like the communications that you're having with your employees? How have that changed? What are some of the strategies you're using to kind of optimize your communications?
So I guess twofold. So internally, we went from almost a no work from home policy. I mean, we had like 1 day a month to the entire company working from home. And I think it's gone a lot better than we've expected. We have a lot of different initiatives that we've put in place to keep people connected and communicating probably more than they were in an office setting. Because I think when you're in an open environment, people kind of tend to try to keep their head down a little bit and get their work done. But there's this sense of wanting to connect with other people. So we have like virtual open office hours. You can kind of drop in on Zoom or Teams. We use Teams as a way to check in with colleagues. As far as like communicating with our employees from what's going on with the business, just being extremely transparent, having, bi-weekly touch bases with the entire company and leadership team to really just tell them honestly what's going on and what we're doing as a company to get ready for it or put some different things in place. And as far as with our consumers, we have two customers in this case because of our stylist community and also now our end consumers, which are really keeping the business afloat, right? So just leaning on the DNA of the brand and what we're here to do. And like I said in the beginning of our interview, the name Amika is a symbol of our belief in the power of community. And in difficult times, our primary goal is to show support. And we show support in a little bit of different ways. With hairstylists, it's through the Salon affiliate program, which is helping to support them financially, but also hairstylists are creatives and now they're stuck at home with very little creative outlet. So we've been publishing free education, classes that we would typically pay for that are in-person attendance. We've been offering for free to Amika stylists. We've been doing online master classes and a similar strategy on our consumer front where we're looking more at supporting everyone through, self-care initiatives, finding ways that we can lower the burden of being able to keep up with your favorite products that you love. We've been running like happy hour type discounts where it's not an always on discounting program, but a couple hours in 1 day we'll have, a top seller like our dry shampoo was last week, just to, have those bright moments in someone's day and just keep us all moving in the same direction. And I mean, that's really how we're taking this. I think I've seen some amazing initiatives and I've also seen some kind of, people kind of taking advantage of the opportunity and using their communications in the wrong way. And I think what we can just do with any brand is just lean on what the DNA of your company is and how you can support everyone in this crisis.
And try to be a resource, right? I would imagine your content is to that salon owner, that stylist. It's a resource, but also to the end consumer now, who you're communicating with as well.
Definitely. I mean, just, we can all be real. We can just show up as humans and be authentic, talk about the problems that we're trying to solve. We've been featuring our employees, trying to support all of our educators who they normally are paid for these classes that they're teaching in person. So how can we utilize them to create content from their homes, which we can still pay them for? Things like that to keep things moving as much as possible and support everyone in our network as much as we can.
And are you doing that primarily through social, or is it email communications? How are you, getting that word out?
We have a few ways. We have some private groups for our stylist network and our educators. We also have what's called an Amika fan club, which existed prior to this pandemic. And then we also have our micro affiliate program. So we have a few people within our organization that are in community management and are, in more communication with people than they ever have been before. And of course, I mean, you can't do without email either.
Yep. And then on site too, right? I would imagine you're posting a lot of this content directly to the Amika website.
Correct. So we have our blog, as well as we have 2 Instagram pages. We have one for consumers and one for professionals.
And then my final question, Chelsea, is just kind of looking ahead, coming out of this pandemic and hopefully sooner rather than later. What do you expect for the Amika brand? And then also kind of the industry at large? What do you see from kind of consumer behavior specific to Amika, and then, just general commerce trends?
Well, I think that all of us in the beauty industry are kind of leaning on this, what they call the lipstick effect, right? That beauty has been largely recession resilient. So I definitely think there is a place for beauty care, but I do think there will be a switch in the consumerism and how much people were just buying, not based on need, just because it was the newest, greatest thing, and they just wanted to get their hands on it, whether or not they even fully utilized the product. I think everyone's probably been a little bit guilty of that. And in a time like now, especially I live in New York City. I think this has really given people a taste of what life is like when resources are squeezed. And I hope that it brings a new appreciation for many who are in these thankless jobs who are holding the world together. But I also think that it will end the consumerism, and that people will reflect more on their purchases, and that they can make a difference by voting with their wallet. You can support small businesses, local businesses, companies who are doing things to make our world a better place. Less waste, less plastic, less emissions. And I think that all will have a huge impact on, shopping behavior in general. And brands that will thrive in this next decade will certainly be ones that put people and planet ahead of profit. And I also feel that I think you kind of start to not appreciate the little things in life, right? Like your local salon, now you walk by and it's completely boarded up, and the Sephora stores are completely boarded up. And I think this element of community will become even more important after this pandemic, where people are essentially isolated from each other.
Yeah, it's some great points, and a nice way to look. We're in this dark time now, in this challenging time, but hopefully, as we emerge from this, some good things come about, and some of the things that you just talked about. So I want to take this opportunity to thank Chelsea Riggs of Amika for joining me today on Total Retail Talks. Thanks, Chelsea.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad we could do this, even though we're not near each other.
Exactly, the power of digital.
Exactly.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this podcast, please check out our podcast channel page at mytotalretail.com/podcast for show notes. Total Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, and Spotify. Make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a few moments to rate and review this podcast. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Total Retail Talks.
Total Retail recently released its 4th annual Retail Technology Report, addressing retailers' spending behavior, as well as tracking trends in retail technology investments. To create the report, Total Retail surveyed its audience of retail executives to better understand their current usage of technology, future technology needs and wants, and their processes within their organizations for technology purchases. To download your copy of the 2020 Retail Technology Report, go to mytotalretail.com/resources.